Hello, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grove. It's a little extra windy today and it's cold. It's supposed to get colder tonight. We actually have a chance of snow. We may have snowballs and snow, or it may get down so low it takes the snowball bush out and just leaves us regular snow. But anyways, yesterday I actually covered a bunch of stuff. I took a few little plants in, and the rest of it's just in the hands of God. We'll see. I didn't take my hostas in. I didn't cover them. I just can't do it all. So I'm having to let some of it just kind of go, and we'll see what happens. But it certainly wasn't because I didn't spend the entire day watering it, because you know, if you keep it wet enough, it won't go below freezing, not below 32 degrees. But I'm sure that when I started out watering, by the time the evening came around, most of it was already dried out. So, but I did go ahead and try, and so I feel like I've just done the best I can do, and I have to let it go. Yesterday I was tired to the point of sick, and it was a day that I normally would have came in and rested, but I knew I didn't have time to do a lot of waiting till another day to do it, because I knew that this cold was coming most likely. So we'll see what happens after it's over, if we have any of these pretty blooms or buds left. I hope we do. April the 14th. Look at that snow. Isn't that just a little bit amazing? Snow is pretty, and guess what? It's not even all that cold out this morning, but it has been cold. I hope my little plants loved it just for the moisture. I hope they didn't freeze. It's not supposed to last very long, so I'm kind of in a hurry to get it on here. And then we have plumbers coming this morning too, so I won't get a lot of it for you, but just a little bit amazing. There's snow in April, in the middle of April, I might add. Did I just recently say that even without snow, our little snowball bush could show you it can make snowballs? Hopefully it'll be able to make snowballs even with the snow, but this may be the last of our little snowball bush too. I don't really know how cold it got for how long, but it's been very cold for the last couple of days, but at the same time it may not have gone below freezing for a long time. It's been like 30 and 32 and just kind of up and down, so we'll just have to wait and see what kind of damage it may have caused. I decided to come back into the back a little too. This is unusual for us to have snow when the poppies or peonies are all budded out, so everything's a bit unusual this year, seems like. glad I got a few things covered, but I'm still hoping that it didn't get below freezing too long to keep them where I hope they'll just take this as a good moisture for them and then just come right on out of it. That's the hope. But we'll see. We'll have to deal with what we get. Look, this gives a whole new dimension on snow angels. But here's where I covered that peony with the, I think it had 3 big beautiful blooms on it, so I hope that saved it. We'll see. The wind whipped it around so terribly much, the wind itself could have destroyed it. I hope not. Lilacs in the snow. The morning after our snow, and there's frost on the ground. So my poor little plants had a few days that they had to suffer through. I did get out yesterday and water in the front, which faces the north side, so I'm hoping it made a difference. I didn't go ahead and try to get all the back, but I'm hoping my little, well, one reason that brought me out here was my hostas. Oh, they look like they're struggling terribly. They have that frozen look, that damp, wet look. But maybe they'll come out of it and be okay. It's supposed to get pretty now. Probably that was our last frost for the season. That's what I heard one of our weathermen say. And I was already thinking that, but you just never know. But I hope we didn't lose the pretty little hostas. But of course they'll come back from the root, even if the tops of them do die off. I still hope that I didn't lose them. The rest of the day after our frost that we started out with this morning did turn out to be a beautiful day. We had to do some grocery shopping and it was cool, and I wore a coat. But when I came home, I actually did a few things in the garden. Look at this little clematis. It just loved the cool weather. It did not mind it at all. Now when it gets really hot, all these leaves will scorch and it's going to look terrible. But right now, it's just looking great. I spent a big portion of my day just taking plastic off the few things that I put plastic on, but it was well worth it. Look, this is not nipped a bit. Some of them are a little bit, but most of them look like they're going to do all right. Not so sure about our cherry tree, and of course our redbud tree is going back to green, but that's normal. The wind had broken a limb off of my little snowball bush, but we just went ahead and took it off, and it'll probably sprout another one by next spring when it blooms again. This little pot had fallen off, and the little angel, I just got through gluing her back on. So there's always some upkeep in the garden, but it was pleasant work actually today. Nice to be out in the sunshine. When I cleaned out this little area over here, I know I had mentioned that I lost a peony, and it was such a beautiful peony. Every time I had visitors, the one that was right here was the one they always mentioned, and they'd even ask for starts. my only hope now, having a start of it, and I don't really know the name of it, but it's such a beautiful pink peony with a little tuft in the center and beautiful large petals around the side. It's not the Bowl of Beauty, but it's kind of similar to that, only instead of the cream center it has a pink center. But it's gone, and my only hope, I started to say, is that when I was getting my friends a start, maybe, just maybe, I took a little start and put it around front, because sometimes if I have a plant I really like, I think, well, I need one in the back and one in the front. So I hope that's what I did, and I hope I get one to come back up. Actually, it was nice having those few days when we had cold weather, not necessarily for the garden, because I was very concerned about the little garden, but you know, sometimes you do have to just kind of let it go and just let God take care of it for you. If after you've done the best you can do, that's really all you can do, and then you just have to leave the rest up to God. And it looks like most everything maybe is just going to make it and do fine. Isn't this a pretty color combination right there? Those bright dark pink dianthus and that pretty sedum. What I was going to say is that my peony, I realized what happened to it, and that was a mole, because all the way down that area where the peony used to be, there is a soft dip in the ground, and I know it's a mole that got it, which I hate that, but that just happens sometimes. I'll hope that I have another, and if I don't, I'll hope that I figure out the name of it, what name it was of that particular peony, and get another one of them. I took this little pot inside. I took several little pots just inside, and I'm glad I did. They look fine. Brought it back out today. I'm sure it was ready for some sunshine. Look at this pretty bridal spirea, billowing in white. Isn't that beautiful? The Lenten roses look great. I just love the foliage. It seems like it's just leafed up there and taken off and looks so pretty. Now my little bleeding heart, not so on it. It's looking pretty pathetic, actually. Got places on it that just curled up and gave up, but you can tell there's a lot down below it that didn't give up, so we're not going to lose a whole lot if we do lose anything. And hopefully the weatherman that said this will probably be the last one was correct. I'm going to hope so. I'm going to start planting a few things. I did take this inside. It's a hardy little plant. If it would have killed the foliage, it would have probably came up from the root, but because it is new, I got it last year, but it didn't really come up last year. I didn't think it was even still in there, but it's up and looking great right now. This is a trillium, or widow's tears, or trinity plant. It has several names. It's a pretty little plant. Can get invasive. That's why it's in the pot. Look at this little clematis bloom. It nipped it a bit, but it's just still beautiful. And same with the foliage. It nipped the foliage some, but it still looks great. Oh, this poor little alyssum, this perennial alyssum, does not look so good, but I'm hoping it'll still come out of it. Sometimes plants are so resilient to do that, but then other times they just don't. You sometimes have to let one go. I covered this little plant, and you can see that I don't know if it was the cold or the wind whipping my bag around that did some of this, maybe a little of both, but my buds seem to be okay. This does look a little bit brown around the edges. I guess so, just do all of them. I just now realize they all do a bit, but hopefully it didn't get them or kill them. Getting a new little clematis bloom right here. This is new to me. It didn't even bloom last year. Now this one around here did bloom, and it has like a little blue bell shaped bloom when it does. And I noticed, and I'm afraid to go over there because last year I saw a snake there, and so therefore it's probably not one there now, but I don't know. He might have decided to winter over since he did last time. But anyways, I'm not going to get over there too close right now without my boots and gloves on. But I was looking the other day and I saw a clematis. That's when I saw the snake last year when I planted that clematis vine. And so I just jerked my hand back and I never saw it come up, so I thought it was gone. But early on when I was cleaning this, I did see a little tiny piece of a vine, and I'm so hoping that it did make it. And I'm going to get some twine and put up a portion of this, maybe that middle one right there, but a part of it anyway is going to have some twine on it, because I'm going to see if I can get that little clematis to come up. And it is the clematis that is called, it has several names I think, but the one that it was called when I purchased mine was passion flower clematis, and it's such a pretty color and bloom. I've never seen it in real, actually, just in the catalogs, but I'm anxious to see it in real in my garden. These daylilies are so hardy. You can actually plant those things in the middle of summer and they're fine with it. Won't even go into transplant shock. Most usually, if they do, they'll come out of it. But what I was going for is this lily. Look at that. It just took right on up there and came right on that cold. Neither of the really cold spells that we had bothered it a bit, I don't think. I also noticed that this little bird bath, this little plastic bird bath, has a crack in it. And I thought, well, maybe it's not all the way through, so I put some water in there, which of course just dripped right on down through. So I may turn this into a little planter this year. Oh, look, the lilacs seem to have made it too. I'm kind of surprised. I thought they might just decide to curl up and give it up on me, but it doesn't look like that's what they've decided at all. They look pretty. This is called Sensation Lilac, and if I've got it in focus there, you can see that it's actually edged. It's edged in white, which really brings out the color on it. I'm not sure if they're as sweet smelling as my neighbor's. She has the old fashioned, which is really what I thought I was getting when I got these. And I love that scent when it wafts over into my garden. These smell nice too, but just not as strong. So it's April the 15th today, and I thought I might fix my first pot for this summer. This is what's in here now is volunteer or perennials that came back from last year, and this is what I purchased today. This is the first thing that caught my eye. I'm sure if you've seen any of the posts, you know I love the coleus, and this one just had so much color in it that I wasn't sure. When I first looked at it, I thought purple, so I went to this, but I'm glad that it had two different shades of purple in there, because as I put it side by side, it's obvious to me that these two colors play better off of each other than these two colors do. I think that looks great. So I think it'll be in my little arrangement, and one or the other of these, or maybe even both, because it's so colorful. So much would go with it, but I'm thinking probably the pink. I don't know, maybe the orange. But I'm thinking the pink. But I'm going to put it together and see what I think and show it to you here in a little bit. I do try to work in a little of this slow release fertilizer. before I get started on the plants. And then I try to use the liquid when I water about every 2 weeks through the summer. Then I just kind of set them in. They say that 3s and 5s kind of look better together, so I put the 3 of the verbena, the pretty little purple shade verbena with white in the center, and of course my coleus is going to be probably the centerpiece, and it's the tallest. It'll grow the tallest. And then my geranium, that pretty pink geranium, I did choose the pink for some reason. That one's what's catching my eye today anyway. So, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in there now. I've just got them sitting there at the moment, but I'm going to trim off some of the stuff that's not fresh and pretty and put them inside and give you one last look. Look what I had left. They look perfect together. I'll have to find a pot for those. So I put this one just in the little corner of this longer pot, and I'll fill the rest of it out with something else later on, but I think this looks good. So this is my first little pot for the season that's all filled out. After I put it in, I watered it in good, so there'll be no air pockets in there. So it's looking kind of scraggly and laid out from being watered, but I think it's going to look great. I love the colors together, and I think as it grows, it'll just look prettier as it matures. And I left a little spot right here because that little sedum right there will spread out some and be pretty in the fall. It'll be pretty all the time, but in the fall it'll actually bloom. There is one more cold spell in the forecast next week or this coming week, but it's not supposed to go below 40, I think, or in the 40s, so it should be fine. I wanted to show you that I did find my little clematis, and I'm going to put some of this twine up this thing for it to grow on, but come right down here and I want to show it to you. Can you see this one right here?
Where's your hand?
Right here. Oh. And I'm going to let it come right up this little hole.